Welcome to this new video. Today, we're going to see how to transfer data from one iPhone to another. In this case, as we can see here, we have two iPhones and we're going to call this one on the left, the one I'm pointing at, the original iPhone, the source iPhone from which we will transfer all the information directly to this iPhone over here. However, we will talk about some methods first, depending on where you are or what tools you have. First of all, let's say the first method is to go here to configure, and here we obviously have our Apple ID. If you click on it, it will bring up this option that says iCloud. If you are someone who pays for iCloud, you have the ability to make backups. Although if you don't pay for iCloud, you can still do it. The only difference is that iCloud gives us 5 GB for free, and very possibly if you have backups in iCloud, they will weigh much more than this, meaning they could weigh 10, 20, 30, 40 GB or more if you save photos, apps, passwords, etc. So this option is very limited to those who pay for iCloud directly. If you have this option, what you need to do is go here where we enter iCloud, scroll down and click where it says iCloud Backup. Here you will enable it and set it to activate absolutely everything, as you can see, and perform the backup. In my case, I won't do it because this iPhone you see here is 64 GB and all 64 GB are occupied. As you can see, iCloud only allows me to store 5 GB, so we can disable that option. And the other option is if you have a Mac, you can connect it directly to the iPhone and make a backup through iCloud to transfer it to the new iPhone. If you don't have a Mac, you can do the same on Windows. You just need to buy a cable like this in any color you want, but with a Lightning or USB-C port on one side, which is the new one for iPhone 15. In this case, this one here is a 14 and this one here is an 11, and both have the Lightning port. So this port has to be on one side and the other side has to be USB to connect it to Windows. So there you install iTunes and perform the backup. That would be the second way, but the third way is arguably the most recommended because it's the easiest. It's simply when you have your new iPhone, which is likely if you're watching this video because you changed or upgraded your iPhone. What you need to do is simply start it and it will give you the welcome menu to configure everything. But if you're not switching to a new iPhone, but rather a used one that already has certain data and things, you can go here to where it says settings, go back here and look for reset. Here we have the reset option, and once we're there, we're going to click on this option here to reset so that the iPhone gives us all the configuration from scratch to set up a new iPhone. So that's what we can do, or simply here, in fact, Apple gives us the option to prepare our new iPhone. It says make sure everything is ready to transfer to your new iPhone, even if you don't have enough space in iCloud for the backup. So what I'm saying is you must ensure you have the space because it might tell you that you have a backup, but you only have certain things stored and iCloud might not work for you. But once you reset it, it will appear as a brand new iPhone the next time you turn it on. This is how it works. Let's turn on this one on the right, which is the one that will give us the option. See, I've already turned it on. It starts loading. Let's keep them relatively close, not too close because otherwise the Hydra will activate automatically. But as soon as this iPhone starts, we'll have to configure it from scratch to give us the option to transfer everything from this one to this one. So here it simply says, hello, this is the usual iPhone start menu. We just slide up and here, well, let's see if it lets me. It doesn't let me configure, but I would lower the brightness a bit for you to see. But see on the left, it says use your Apple ID and it shows my email to set up your new iPhone for you or a minor in your family. So since both iPhones are close, they detect each other. But if yours doesn't detect this and doesn't tell you to transfer all the data, don't worry, just continue with the setup. On the new iPhone, let's select Spanish here and it tells me to select my country or region, which in this case is Colombia. However, well, let's leave it in Colombia for now, and it just says changing language. As you can see, the transfer all configuration disappeared from here because it will give us the option later to don't worry, this is just about configuring whether it's feminine, masculine, or neutral. So I'm going to choose masculine, then we'll have to select the size of the text, icons, etc. Personally, I like it to appear large here, but we'll leave it default for now. So now it informs us about the quick start feature, advising us to bring our current iPhone or iPad close to this new iPhone to sign in and set up. If your other iPhone or iPad doesn't display options to set up this iPhone, ensure it has iOS 11 or a more recent version installed and that Bluetooth is activated. Alternatively, you can set up this iPhone manually. As you heard, we simply need to unlock this one, which I've just done. And indeed, look, it says quick start searching for devices. Here it provides me with the option and I press continue. It's crucial to remember what it mentions here about iOS 11. If you don't have the updated version of iOS, it might cause an issue. Here it says waiting for the other iPhone. Place this image in the frame of your other iPhone. So here it simply instructs us to hold your new iPhone in front of the camera. Essentially, what we're going to do is take both phones and position them in front of each other to detect the image. Wait a moment, well, it's not one in front of the other because the camera it utilizes is actually the rear one. So we have this one with the image and the other one, we simply need to focus that circle it has there and it turns green and says preparing. Now let's place them side by side. This one appears a bit bright because I haven't been able to lower the brightness, but just follow these steps and you'll be able to do it. Here it says preparing, so we just wait, and here it informs us again about the setup and asks if the new iPhone is for me. In this case, it is for me. It says that because, as mentioned earlier, you might have minors, children, and want to set up their iPhone to be associated with your account, even if it's your child's. So you simply choose whether it's for another person or directly for yourself. Now it indicates here to finalize the setup on the new iPhone. Maintain this iPhone in close proximity to your new iPhone while the data is being transferred. Let's position them as close as possible to prevent any potential complications. And now we're going to configure this once more in masculine, and here it prompts me to input the code of your other iPhone, signifying I have a pin linked with this one, so I need to input it here to transfer all the data. Alright, once I input the pin, it states configuring your iPhone, and it begins to load, and activating your iPhone might take a few moments. Here we simply need to leave it undisturbed. There's no specified time for this, but it generally takes between 45 minutes to an hour. Let's hit continue here, meaning transferring all the data we have, but it could even take less or more time if we have a substantial amount of information. Now it's the moment to configure Face ID, which most individuals are already familiar with. If you've previously owned an iPhone with this functionality, it will permit you to proceed. So here we simply continue, and I'm going to set up Face ID. This part won't be displayed because it essentially involves positioning yourself in front of the camera and moving your head around. So we simply position ourselves. Done, I've set it up. Now it presents me with another option here to utilize Face ID with a mask, which is for more convenient facial recognition in case you use a mask in the future. We understand why this configuration is provided. In this instance, I'm going to affirm yes, I want it configured so that in the future, if something obscures my face, it will still recognize me and unlock the phone. So I'll affirm yes. Now I have to do it again. Give me a moment. Done. It states Face ID is configured. In settings, you can add various types of glasses to use with Face ID while wearing them. I'll proceed. Done. Now transferring data from Sergio's iPhone, which is this iPhone you observe here. It states, yes, it's replacing Sergio's iPhone. You can transfer all its settings and data directly to this iPhone. Keep your other iPhone nearby and connect it to power until the transfer is complete. The approximate transfer time is 10 to 15 minutes. As you can see here, it tells me this amount of time because I don't have many things, but I know there are many people who do have a lot of applications, videos, and photos, so this time may vary for them. And another essential aspect that I overlooked to mention from the very beginning is that both iPhones must have a substantial battery level, specifically at least 90% or higher. This is crucial because if you are engaged in this data transfer and one of the two iPhones depletes its battery, it will result in an incomplete transfer and potentially cause an error. So let's proceed here, and it presents us with the comprehensive terms and conditions agreement. We accept it after thoroughly reviewing it naturally, and here it indicates transforming it into your new iPhone. Everything is precisely as you had it on your previous iPhone, and here it informs us that it will transfer the applications, data, and all the settings we had on this one over here. Indeed, in settings, we can observe what is specifically configured, such as location being enabled, app analysis in my case being disabled, screen time being activated, iPhone analysis being enabled, and dark appearance, which I have preset to dark mode, so it will replicate that here. In the subsequent point, it essentially informs us about configuring the Messages app and FaceTime, so we will proceed. Then you can activate location services precisely to mirror the same settings from here, and Siri as well, so which voice do we prefer to select? You might not perceive this at the moment, but initially the voice is male, followed by a female one. Let's proceed by choosing continue. And when this screen appears, articulate the phrase, "Hey Siri, what is the weather forecast for today?" Hey Siri, kindly send a message. Hey Siri, please set a timer for 3 minutes. In Hey Siri, could you give me directions home? Plus Hey Siri, play some music and that's all. And gusta casa. As soon as we articulate all these phrases, it will inform us that we can configure Siri here if we wish to share audio recordings to enhance quality. In my situation, I don't wish to share them, so we'll select not now. It informs me of this because I already have it configured as part of the Apple beta software, which essentially is when a new iOS is released. Hello? Sorry to interrupt the video. I wanted to remind you that if you appreciate this type of content, don't forget to subscribe. For instance, if version 17.0.3 is released, I receive the beta version and can install it. This is beneficial for me, but it might not be for you, so you simply select no. In my case, since this is a new one, I don't wish to continue with this. I just want the official version, so I'll say I don't want to continue in the program. And well, I didn't know this, but if I don't remain in the program, it won't allow me to transfer the data. So I'll say I want to stay in the program. As soon as this is also something very significant to keep in mind. I didn't know it functioned like this, but if you have the beta version, you'll have to continue with that version if you don't want this to occur. Simply, before transferring all the data, go to the settings on the previous iPhone and deactivate the beta program to avoid this issue if you don't want to continue. Let's proceed here, and it tells us there's a software update, and as you can see, it's precisely a beta version. I think that's why it doesn't allow us to pass it without being part of the program. So let's update now, and here we accept. Now it automatically connected to the internet because it took the data from this one that already had all the Wi-Fi data. Now I have to wait for the data to be transferred and for it to update to iOS beta 3. So let's wait, and as soon as this finishes, I'll continue talking to you, son. Surely this won't happen to you like it did to me, but it was because I had to update the iOS to the beta I had. But in any case, I'll show you. It simply restarts the whole process. You have to go through the steps again, and from there it's the same process, only it restarts because the iOS was updated on this new iPhone. So let's do the process again, and we'll continue from where we left off. Done. As you can see, we've practically continued with everything. Now, after updating the iOS, if it requests an update, because this doesn't apply to everyone, don't worry if it doesn't ask you to update the iOS. I think in my case it was because of the beta version, but for you, don't worry. Here, an email arrives saying my Apple ID has been used to sign in on another iPhone, and as you can see, your photo will simply appear there. In this case, it's my photo. Yeah, it's already signing in, even configuring the cards I have in Apple Pay. And look, now turn it into your new iPhone. It even loaded the wallet cards I have here. Again, we'll continue. Remember, if you want, you can customize it as it. In fact, I think that's why it asked me for the update, because if I'm not mistaken, if you go back in the video, the wallet cards didn't appear before. So now everything can be configured because this iPhone has the same iOS version as this one, and that's really important because it will make a backup of absolutely everything it has, and obviously the compatibility must be the same between this one and that one. And so now let's just keep waiting. And then this is about leaving it completely still. Don't move anything. As I said, make sure the battery is at a good percentage, well charged, and then just wait and leave them still. Once more, this will depend on whether you have registered cards or not, but here, for instance, it prompts me to add the Rappi card, which is one of my cards. However, in this situation, I have this card within the same application here, which is the Rappi one. So to proceed, I have to cancel this process. If you encounter the same issue, just select that you will add it later, no problem. I said you need even if you don't add it now, I also have it in an application, so I will confirm the security number later. This one is also in an application, although I have it physically, but I prefer to configure everything later. So it simply says transferring data from iPhone. Keep your other iPhone nearby and connected to power until the transfer is complete. Remember, the power connection is not specifically necessary. It doesn't mean you have to have both iPhones connected. As you can see, I don't have either of them connected, nor do I have a portable battery or anything like that. I just have them next to each other. However, I did make sure the battery, for example, this one has about 84 if I'm not mistaken, and the one on the right has a bit more, I think almost the same. So well, it will tell us the time, and now we just need to stay still, and once everything is transferred, I'll show you. Done. It now says transfer completed. I'm not sure what happened with the other one. I think this one is restarting. Indeed, the previous one is all set. It says transfer completed. Your data has been transferred to your other iPhone. So now we can say everything is correctly configured, except this one requires a restart to finish loading all the data on this iPhone. Up to this point, we could say, as you can see here, the transfer was completed and done. When this iPhone finishes turning on, as you can see, we have the wallpaper, the same one I had here, and it gives us the option to erase this iPhone. And so here we can unlink our Apple ID from this phone, but honestly, I don't want to do it yet. At this juncture, as you can observe, I have the option to proceed and erase all data from this iPhone to render it entirely new, or I can opt for not now so that it doesn't get deleted just yet. And as you can see there, we already have both wallpapers. In fact, well, you can't see it on this one because it's blurred, but everything has literally been transferred. So if you've reached this point in the video, leave a sheep emoji in the comments section. If you possess any inquiries or uncertainties, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below. See you next time. Goodbye.